incredible in this pose. I don't know where does he get this width from.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So let's start this video with the latest physique update from Michal Krizo. So this is him sitting at 293 pounds. 6 or 7 weeks after his last show, which was the New York Pro. And still holding on to an awesome kind of condition, especially for that kind of body weight. Now, looking at all of these physique updates that Krizo has posted after the New York Pro, they all make you feel that he probably could have won his show. He probably would have qualified for the Olympia. And then he could have started his off-season and focused on bringing up his back and fixing his posing and presentation and also fixing his mobility problem that he was having big time, especially in terms of his back. So the caption says that he's gonna start growing in about 2 weeks time from now, and that means he's gonna start his off-season in 2 weeks time. So here we have another guy who's gonna hit 300 pounds very soon. Now for the people who say that Krizo doesn't need to get bigger, well, I respectfully disagree. That is kind of wrong here, because he does. I know he's a big guy, he's a tall guy. He's one of the biggest bodybuilders out there. But the fact is, he needs to get big, and more importantly, he needs to be a lot wider in the back department, especially if he wants to compete with those top 7 or top 6, or maybe even higher guys at the Olympia level. Now that has been his biggest weakness ever since he came onto the scene. But the fact is, it was more evident at this year's New York Pro. I'm not saying that his back shots are bad. He was tremendous in terms of condition. He had that paper-thin skin, amazing condition and detail. But because of that mobility problem that he was having because of that shoulder injury, he was having so much trouble opening up and hitting that pose correctly. And that in turn was giving the illusion that he needs to be a lot wider. Now the good thing is that goes big time in Krizo's favor is that he is still very young. And if he stays injury-free, there is a lot of time left for him to compete at the highest level, bring up his lagging body parts, and become a very complete bodybuilder over the next 3 or 4 years. Now that being said, some posing changes are desperately needed for Krizo to somewhat hide his flaws, especially that wide waistline and his obliques. That kind of ruins his front shots. But I must say, we're gonna miss him big time at this year's Olympia stage, because no matter what, he's a top 10 Olympian. Next up, we have an update from the beast, Roelly Winkler. Yes, he is retired, and that too for quite some time now. But the man can still move some serious weights in the gym. So him and Vlad, who is an active IFBB pro and 2 times Olympian too, they recently did a back workout. And Roelly was able to keep up with Vlad. He still has got those crazy big arms, one of the best ever. And overall, in my opinion, Roelly looks considerably bigger than the time he was going through that shoulder rehab. And that is obviously implying that he has been eating very clean. And probably he's back on the juice too, although I do think that in very little amounts. Now, obviously, Roelly is retired from professional bodybuilding for good. He had a pretty good run for about 10 years as a pro. But it is kind of sad that when he finally hit his mark, his stride, his peak, and that was in 2018, that was like the tail end of his career. And unfortunately, he had to sit out of the Olympia in 2020 because of COVID. And that was another year wasted. And the man was looking pretty damn solid leading into that year's Miss Olympia. And he stepped away from professional bodybuilding in 2021 after competing at Miss Olympia that year for one last time. Now the physique that he presented at the Olympia back in 2021, that was clearly indicating and showing signs of him breaking down and going downhill. And that was one of the very few years when Roelly did not get to the Olympia stage by winning a pro show. He did that on points. Now 2018 was such an awesome look by Roelly Winkler. I wish he had brought that same package in 2019. And he probably would have fought for the Olympia title that year. All that being said, it is so great to see Roelly still connected to the sport, giving his wisdom and his knowledge back to the younger guys in terms of training and helping all of these guys groom for the biggest bodybuilding shows in the world. So we are now under 16 weeks out of this year's Mr. Olympia, and here is your reigning Arnold champion and the first ever Pittsburgh Pro champion, Derek Lunsford. So is anyone a little bit surprised that Derek looks this good and this lean at 16 weeks out. So this has been his 4th year as a men's open bodybuilder, especially if we add that year 2022, the year he did the guest posing at the Pittsburgh Pro. And he just shocked the entire bodybuilding world. And that is why the decision was made to switch over from the 212 into the men's open. So from that point onwards, every single year, Derek has been able to stay pretty damn lean throughout the year. And this one is no different. Now Derek was able to pull off a very close win at the Pittsburgh Pro this year against Nick Walker, despite not being at his all-time best, and despite the fact that he was having a family issue at that time. So if Derek Lunsford from the Arnold, Ohio, that would have shown up at the Pittsburgh Pro 2, nobody would have called that decision controversial. That is how good Derek looked at the Arnold, Ohio against Samson Dauda. He literally beat the reigning Olympia champion against all the odds and every prediction that was made leading into that show. The biggest question that is gonna determine Derek's fate at this year's Mr. Olympia is that whether he can peak perfectly for 3rd time in one single year, and secondly, whether he can hold on to all that size on his legs while dieting down one more time. Now, Derek isn't a small bodybuilder. He carries a lot of muscle mass. I mean, on scale he's bigger than Hadi Chopin, and I'm sure he will try to add some more muscle, some more thickness in some areas like the chest and the shoulders for this upcoming Mr. Olympia. Now, if Derek Lunsford from the Arnold, he shows up at Mr. Olympia, he's gonna be fighting for that Miss Olympia title no matter what. But do let me know, what do you guys think? I am so glad to see guys like Jay Cutler and Milos giving so much well-deserved respect to the Predator Tonio Burton after this year's Dubai Pro Show. Now, we all had our doubts that Tonio is gonna be kind of outmuscled by plenty of guys in the lineup, but the man was shockingly big and very comparable to those top 2 guys, Barrows and William Bonac. I mean, there was a difference of only 1 point between him and William Bonac. The simple fact is he has those incredibly round muscle bellies, the outer sweep on his quads. They are so damn incredible, and that combined with that small waistline and his ability to pull off a super vacuum that allows him to have a near perfect X-frame and that insane V-taper on the stage.
You think he's going to be a
He's going to be an
big
issue.
threat at the Olympia?
He's going to be
After looking at this, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Like,
going to
he
be
could
a problem.
Like right around 6, 7.
Yes, he's about there right now. Possible first call out.
And as Milos and Jay talked about this, he can be right on the edge of this year's Olympia first call out. And who knows, if someone comes in off from those top 6 guys, maybe he can make it into that top 6. Now Tonio is a prime example of a former 212 guy taking his time to get bigger, to grow into the men's open bodybuilding division without rushing the process whatsoever. And that has allowed him to put on quality muscle and mass, while at the same time making sure that all of his beautiful lines, they stay in check. His waistline remains the same. Now he still needs to bring up his chest to match up with his delts, and I think that's pretty much it. Now I know he needs to be a bit more bigger overall, but in terms of having ideal proportions, that is the only thing missing. He has got one of the most complete backs in the Pro League at the moment, especially the width on his back. That is so damn crazy. So Tonio was top 8 at his last Mr. Olympia appearance, and that was back in 2023. So do you guys see him moving up 1 or maybe 2 spots? So Mike Sommerfeld is about to start this year's Olympia prep at the craziest starting point. Is there even one guy in that entire classic physique division who looks this round and this muscular at 16 weeks out? And the man is looking scary lean, considering he hasn't even started to pull down in weight just yet. So I do think that if Mike brings that same condition as he did at last year's Mr. Olympia, or as impressive as he was at this past Arnold, Ohio, he's gonna be pretty damn hard to beat, no matter what anyone brings. Doesn't matter how improved his competition comes in. The simple fact is Mike is looking next level at the moment. He's in a league of his own, and there are literally 0 missing body parts on this guy. Not a single classic physique mandatory. That is a weakness on him. And the other important thing is that he can get bone dry and absolutely shredded. And we saw him do it in 2 shows back to back, the Olympia and the Arnold. And we have to keep in mind, his Arnold prep this year, that wasn't an ideal one by any means, because he fell seriously sick in the last couple of weeks. And still he won that show hands down. So Mike is on a mission at the moment, and he's gonna do everything it takes to become Classic Physique Olympia champion in October. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.